All right, it's time to introduce the first speaker, and the topic is hard head, soft ass, which is not doing suggestions. We give you Darrell M.
Snack me and Darrell. Wow, Phil asked me like at 11 o'clock to cover if somebody didn't show up. I'm used to that. Many people probably know Phil's my sponsor. He always taught me don't say no, never say no. Sometimes I wish I could fucking just say no. But it's truly an honor and a privilege to do anything in Narcotics Anonymous. Whether it's speaking, doing some service work, sponsoring somebody, especially guiding somebody through the 12 steps of our program in our traditions. My clean date is September 1st of 2000. When Phil gave me the topic, the first thing I started thinking about was like an early recovery. Because he knew how hard-headed my ass was. He knew how bad I was in early recovery. And I want to thank you for staying on my ass all those times while I was just fucking up. I was just doing all types of stuff. You know what I mean? I was doing whatever I wanted to do. But thank God for service, sponsorship, and the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous, where I can redeem myself. I could remember like when I was a kid. I wanted to remember like when I was a kid when my mama would say, don't go over there with them and hang with them. And if I catch you over there, I'm going to whoop you up. I'd be like, oh, you going over there, Mama? I ain't going over there. And I'd be over there. And one of the neighbors would tell my mom, you know, I was over there. And my mom would wear my tail out. Because like early in my life, man, I always just wanted to fit in. I wanted to be part of the guys. So everything Mama told me not to do, I did it anyway, not knowing that there was some consequences to it. And it's the same thing when I got in recovery. There was some stuff that my sponsor was telling me don't do that I was doing, right? We carry this message, addict to addict. But I was carrying a whole lot of mess in early recovery. And I had my grand sponsor was Bob J. And Phil, and they pretty much stayed on me. But like one of the things he always kept on telling me is like, Darrell, get some recovery and leave the booty alone. Because my ideal, man, I was just, women, I was just 30 days, I had a girlfriend, 60 days, I had 2 girlfriends. 90 days, they was down at the recovery club fighting. I remember Bob J said, oh, Darrell, get them. Phil's looking at me like, with his mouth wide open. Once again, not taking direction. Because that was my problem. Whenever I don't do God's will, when Darrell's will show up, everything is going to be messed up. Everything was always jacked up. But there was just things that, that I did in early recovery. Like I said, I've been in like 9, 10 rehabs. You know when you be in rehab and they tell you, look, when you get out, we want you to go to a Narcotics Anonymous meeting. Every time I got out, that was the last place I went. I only went to a Narcotics Anonymous meeting is because I was living in a shelter and I ain't have no bed. And they told me if you don't go to meetings, you can't keep your bed. So I had to go. So that was the only reason why I was going. You know what I mean? I wasn't here trying to seek recovery. You know what I mean? They was like, work the steps, get a sponsor, get involved. And I'm the guy way in the corner somewhere, I'm drinking a bottle of coffee with all these, keep coming back. But meanwhile, I couldn't get a couple of hours clean. I could remember going back to the shelter, and before I went back to the shelter, I used, thinking that I'm so slick that like when I walk up in the door, they ain't gonna know. As soon as I came in the door, they knew I was high. My eyes was just bugging out. You got anything on you? Couldn't talk. And I can remember them calling me to the office and you got to go because we won't have nobody using it here. Same story. I did the same thing, like Phil would always tell me, leave the booty alone. I need to tell this story It's a true story. In early recovery, probably about 5 years, I call that early recovery because I got 17 now. So I call that early recovery. But in early recovery, Bob J. passed away in 2005, right? Bob was sponsoring this young lady, right? And at his funeral, let me back it up a little bit more. I was always crying to Bob that I ain't got no sponsees working any steps or doing any service work or doing anything. And Bob would look at me like, Darrell, this shit ain't even about you. When your opportunity comes, just show up. Just show up. And I used to get mad when Bob would do that and he dropped me off. But anyway, at his funeral, when he passed away, after we was putting him in the ground, one of his sponsors asked me to sponsor her. My first intention was no. I wasn't saying no because I couldn't do it. I was saying no because she kind of intimidated me because I know she had Bob as her sponsor. And I said, I got to talk to my sponsor about it. She's like, I already talked to him about it. So I said, Phil, you said it was all right to sponsor such and such? And he gave me the reason why. He gave me the reason why of I had the experience through the steps, but I was living the program at this time. And she probably couldn't find a woman that was in the McKeesport area that could sponsor her. That's what she told me. So I ended up sponsoring that person. And I've been sponsoring her for over 12 years. Now, the hardhead shit. Right? Girls is coming out of the woodworks. Would you sponsor me? Would you sponsor me? Some of them I was like, nah. Yeah. Yeah, I can do it. I can do it. But I went to Phil, right? I said, Phil. Girl was fine. I said, Phil, this person want me to sponsor her, man. She want recovery. And he looked at me and said, Darrell, you out of your mind. Are you out of your mind, Darrell? No. But I went ahead and did it anyway. Everything was good. We was doing step work, right? Service work. We was doing all this stuff, right? Now I got to prove a point. I'm trying to prove a point. I ain't sponsoring her because I got to prove a point to my sponsor that I could do it. That's my point. So fast forward this tape. I was asking him, I said, why don't you think that you don't think I can do it? He says, no. I see the glitter in your eye, kid. I see it. No. I'm doing it. So I was sponsoring for about maybe 3 years. When she did her fourth step, her fourth and fifth step, she revealed, you know the part where it's talking about secrets in the fourth step? The secret was, she's like, I'm really attracted to you. Right? Now, I said, and I'm really attracted to you too. But we got to get to the 12 steps so we can make it happen. We got to get to, when we get to the 12th step, then we can talk about that. I swear to God. When she finished her 12th step, that same night we hooked up. Now this part is not too funny, because this is the part where when I'm in God's way, bad things happen, and like, she called me one day and said, you seem like you just don't have enough time for me. And I was a single parent with my son, so I was like, yeah, you might be right. I don't have the time that I used to have. She said, good. And we just might as well just hook up. So we got engaged. She was outside the meeting, show everybody the ring. My sponsor was pissed. He was pissed, like, just look at this mess. But I need to say that, like, it wasn't a recovering addict that gave me that clarity. It was my son, who I was supposed to be somebody he's supposed to look up to. And he's the one that called me on my stuff. He said one day he woke up, he came out to get something to eat, and she was sitting on the couch, And he said, no, hell no, this ain't going to work. So the next morning, he ran away. And then when I found him 2 days later, he told me why. He said, you're supposed to be this great recovering addict. You used to sponsor her. That's not the right thing to do. He was only 13 years old. Who you think you're talking to? I'm the parent here. Yeah, I don't mean nothing. It ain't the right thing to do. So I told her the next day, you can keep the ring, and we'll have to just be friends because it ain't the right thing to do. And I should know better. She relapsed 2 days later. See, I'm talking about my will ain't lined up with God's will. It's going to be all messed up. And that's all I did in early recovery. Just take my own will and just run rapid around here. But thank God I had a sponsor who stayed on me, never gave up on me. You know what I mean? When I had 5 years clean, everybody thought I had like 15 doing service. How you know all this stuff? I got the man who knows all of it. Everything he's taught me. From that point on, I practice in my life. I'm talking about, I don't have to tell y'all how I'm living. If you want to know how I'm living, come to my house, talk to my children, ask them how I'm living. Talk to my grandchildren, ask them, how is Papa living? When we're on a PlayStation, it's a whole different thing, man. Look, you're going to lose this one. But I'm talking about, like, I don't want to take a suggestion from somebody who's trying to save my life. Why? Because I'm not practicing the principles. The 12th step is the best step at all. The key word is practice. You keep practicing. Basketball players don't come good, or football players, they practice. So I had to practice these principles, and once I started doing that, right? Once I started doing that, my life started getting better. He stopped telling me so much of, don't do this, don't do that, pay your rent. Because I was living in Crawford Village for about 60 days, not paying my rent. He's like, what are you doing? You going to the club every Friday. We go to the clean club. I had a new outfit every week, but I wasn't paying my rent. I'm talking about not practicing the principles. I'm talking about you can have all this stuff. You can go through all 12 of these steps, get all these principles. But if you ain't going to practice them, what is the word to even do it for? You might as well just not even do it. At least you got an excuse. I didn't know. But when you know, you know. I'm going to close this. And I just want to thank Phil and the committee for allowing me to share. Thank
you. All right, our last speaker will speak on United We Stand, Booty I Fall, Turning It Over. We give you Craig E. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, you said it's Craig.
I could probably be Craig, too. I'm Anakin Ron. And I know something about that booty stuff. When I came here, I came in through the penal system the first time. And when I came to my first NA meeting, I seen so many pretty women. And I figured they were nice, they were kind. I wasn't a victim. I volunteered for everything down the pike. I had one in Ohio. I think I had one in the area. I know I had them in all the valleys. And that was actually more work than getting clean. Chasing that ass. You know what I mean? I had to come up with more stories. And remember names. So it got to the point I never said a name. I just said, hey, babe, and left it at that. That thing, you know, we as men think that we really are doing something. I ain't doing no more than them females let me do. They toss me, they turn me, they flip me, they flop me, and they drop me. So when I come in here, I'm like a little wounded kid. So there was one convention, it was down the Western William Penn, I'll never forget it. And I had a girl upstairs, but I was talking to a girl downstairs, so I couldn't go upstairs to hear the main speaker, who was a friend of mine, because I had created so much chaos, right? So me and another gentleman just stood down there and shared with one another. But I really wanted to be upstairs. But by having all that stuff, stirring it all up. So then I thought, you know what, maybe I can do it another way. Maybe I'll try to cut the cost and, let some of them go. I'm greedy. I'm not going to let nothing go. If I let one go, I'm going to add 2 on. You know what I mean? I can remember being balled up. The guy ain't here now. I could be at his mom's house. It would be worse than I went through with a withdrawal heroin. I was so balled up behind them dames. And they didn't do it to me. I did it to myself. Because I asked for the pain. I go right to them, tell them my bullshit story. They go for it. I'm 100% in. And then once I get in, I realize I really don't like them like I thought I did. And then I get flipped. Bam. Every single time. So the one I really want, I don't really have time for her because I'm messing with this bullshit over here. You know what I mean? So she sees me doing my bullshit. So I go to talk to her, she throw her hand up like, I had enough. You know what I mean? I don't want to hear no more of it. But again, the predator I am, I come up with a new move. So I said, you know what? I quit them girls. I'm being honest. I mean, while I'm telling her this, we're on our way to Ocean City, where I know none of these other females are going. So I'm putting the thing down. When I get to Ocean City, didn't have cell phones in. My little pager goes off. You know what I mean? So I ignore it. The girl was telling me she was coming. Nothing but chaos and confusion, man. The booty flipped me. I'm a prime example of it. But I love it. It had got so addictive that I couldn't stop. I mean, I literally couldn't stop. I was afraid if I put it down, somebody else would get it. Probably no one ever did that. But that, I get the girl, and I know I'm greedy. I know it in all areas of my life. But something about pussy, I was warned as a kid that pussy will fuck you more than you'll fuck the pussy. So true. So in this fellowship, I was married when I came in, right? I got a job. I'm not sure what pussy did for me. Had a good job. I'm looking at the girls. Got no business looking at these females on my job. I ended up with 2 babies. So I didn't keep the job. It was that simple. They don't go for that. You know what I mean? I wasn't even mad at them. I just wanted to get out of there before I got killed, shot, or stabbed. So then I got a 22-year-old now and a 23-year-old. Best kids in my life. But it didn't happen in the way I would have wanted it. But it happened. You know, I mean, that's about chasing some ass. All that happened about chasing. So they told me the third step is about turning it over. I couldn't let go in the first step. So I just couldn't let go. Something about, I don't know what it is. It's something about that booty. You know, it's rumptious, nice, sits there the way I like it. I'm all the way in. I was riding somewhere with my cousin. We were going downtown, and that new Mercury came out. I think it's when the MKZ came out. She was pointing to the car. I was pointing to the booty on the other side. I thought that's what she was pointing to. I'm telling you, I can get zoned in on a piece of ass right now. Real easy, man. It's just, look, I'm 71 years old, but my mind will tell me 20, 21, but my body will not be 20 and 21. I know that. You know, but it's, look, and then I got a sponsor. That spoils some things for me. Because I tell him everything. I used to keep secrets, you know. Now I tell him everything, And all he says, well, what do you think? And I hate when somebody says that. I hate that. Because that makes me have to think. You know what I mean? And generally, I already know the answer before I even ask that question. I know what the answer is. Don't do it. You know the result. You know what happened the last time. Let it go. Everything I knew from the previous times. You know, I can get a good 6-month run. I'm a good 6-month runner. Something about turning that curve on the 7th month. Whether I try to get it, I'm locked and loaded on it. You know what I mean? Most of it be fantasy. Because it ain't going to happen. You know what I mean? There's something about me liking that fantasy, the idea of the chase of the game. Because I never know what the outcome's going to be anyway. You know, but when he gave me this topic, somebody didn't show up. And one of my cohorts said, oh, this is a good one for him. You know, something I know a little bit about. You know, but I know about what it done to me. I know what it can do to me. And if you knew and think you can flip the script better, God bless you. Because you'll be in a fetal position, in a corner, calling somebody to get my number to see how I got through. I got through, but it didn't feel good. Because generally it hurts somebody else somewhere else. You know what I mean? I generally drag pieces with me everywhere I go. You know, but it's better now than it's ever been. That's the best way I can say it. My disease is arrested a little bit. It ain't totally shut down. But as long as I got this head, this damn whole committee up here, a few of them stop, but the other ones will agitate me. I was with my wife. We was in the mall getting her something she wanted, right? Generally, I sit like I should have on the stump and say, go ahead, I'll wait here. This time I went walking with her. And I'm looking all the way over there. And so she stopped. I kept walking, kept looking, kept walking. She said, are you done yet? She said, one thing I know, they ain't going home with you. I knew that myself, but it's just something about it. I get locked and loaded with a fixed idea with it. I know it can't go nowhere, but it's something about that. I don't know if it's because I'm older and I think I'm getting ready to just go in the pine box that I feel like got to test that. I don't know. I'm not going to test robbing nobody because I know that didn't never work. I'm not going to test stealing, but it's something about that ass. You know what I mean? Something about that ass. Those other entities I know. The other one, the booty, I think I can get through. You know what I mean? I said, well, I can get through on this. Nobody will know. Somebody always know because I report myself to 2 people. I tell everything. And then God knows anyway. So he's going to reveal it some way, somehow. Whether it's in the way, I'm tired, I don't want to be, something I'm going to do that's going to dictate something that's going on. Every single time in my life. You know what I mean? My phone goes off, I can leave it at home, and I'm not worried. Before, I had 4 cell phones. When they would go off, I'd have, certain places I'd have them. But I ain't got that. That gets to be expensive. You got to pay all those bills. And I don't like that. I like other things more. But yeah, when I seen my sponsor come right time at the booty time. He slithered himself right on in here. You know what I mean? And I respect him. I had a sponsor before, and I wasn't totally honest with my sponsor. It wasn't nothing to do with the sponsor, but I didn't get nothing by not being honest. I tell him everything. He probably was telling me, Bon, I don't need to know that. There's a little bit more information than I need to know. But I do. I tell him everything. And you know what? Whether he likes it or not, I feel better knowing that I've told him. I haven't kept that secret. You know what I mean? If it backfires, at least I can say, I told him. You know what I mean? If I didn't do nothing about it, it's better to tell somebody. And that's someone that I trust. I trust my sponsor. I was on the islands with my wife. I said, I need your phone. She said, what's wrong? I said, I call my sponsor. I've never missed a day calling my sponsor in almost 15 years. Never. There's another guy in here. But my sponsor, it's every day. Sometimes 3-4 times a day. He probably blocks it sometimes. Because I notice sometimes he don't answer. But he's always been there for me. I just lost my mom, right? And it was one of those things that if it wasn't for God and this program and the decision that I had made since I've been here, the outcome might have been different. I was able to feel free. I felt a loss, but I didn't feel balled up. You know what I mean? Oh, I miss her. Yeah, she was 92. I had her all my life. You know what I mean? Good, bad, and indifferent. That was my mother. She wasn't a mother that was sending me money on the books. She was, every year when I'd be in a penitentiary, every year at my birthday I got $5. Anybody been in a penitentiary, $5 don't go far. At all. You know what I mean? But it wasn't the $5, it's the thought she remembered my birthday every year. You know what I mean? So when she passed, it was a loss of I had lost my piece of my family. Now I'm the oldest member in my family. And my siblings look up to me. That shit's scary as a fuck. But they called me the other day about something I didn't know nothing about. So I said, hold on, I got to call some people. I learned that here. I learned how to make decisions here. You know what I mean? You guys taught me how to make decisions. I don't depend on what I think I know. What I think I know got me here. So the decisions I make will keep me here, the healthy ones. And I call people because in this fellowship, everybody's got an experience I need or has been through something that I'm looking for. I got the red flag. I was praying for a red flag, and I got the same sign. I know what Chuck felt like. But you know what? When he asked me to fill in, I was told not to say no. So I was sitting over there, and he did that pressure sponsy stuff. You know, because we got the same sponsor, and he gave me that look. Phil has a look about him. So I'm like, I was telling Lyle I could say no, but he gave me that look. So I wasn't going to say no. You know what I mean? Because I love coming here. I've been coming every year since they've had it. You know what I mean? And I really enjoy this better than the convention. You know what I mean? It's a group of guys, we share honestly. You know what I mean? Some of this stuff, I don't know if I share up on a mountain or across the sea and all that. But there was some stuff I'll share here I'll feel better about when I share it. I'm addict named Ron. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Darrell. We appreciate you, brother. Our next speaker is going to speak on the topic, grow up or die. We give you Will West.
Hi, family. I'm an addict named Will. I'd like to thank Phil and Lyle for asking me to come back down here again. Share the podium with this man once more. About 5 years ago, they asked me to share, and I came down here, and this is part of my 9th step, I think, because I dropped the ball. I was starstruck. I had like 2.5 years clean, and the disease told me, like, you know, you out of your league, right? And I can remember the paralyzing fear that I felt up here, and thank God they gave me this topic, change or die, or whatever it is, and like the only thing that I could think of is like thinking about that and thinking about my life and thinking about why I came to Narcotics Anonymous and thinking about where I am now is like, I need to tell you, like, I didn't come here to get clean. Like, I just didn't. Like, I came here specifically for the sole purpose of changing. Like, if I would have came here and heard our promise, like, I don't know if I would have only got that had I stayed in early recovery. Because, like, when I got here, I was seeking more than putting the drug down. Like, I'm one of these addicts who did, like, a mini 4th step in the 1st step. A mini 4th step in the 2nd step. Because, like I came here, man, and I could think about, like, I grew up on the west side of Baltimore, man, and I grew up, like, feeling inadequate. Very inadequate. Like, I never liked myself. Like, I was that person. You know what I mean? Like, and I can remember at 11 years old, like, trying to be this thing that I can't possibly be at 11 years old. And I'm out there trying to sell drugs. And you know, them thugs from the west side of Baltimore was robbing me on every chance. You know what I mean? I didn't belong out there. You know what I mean? But what I found out through my life is I never belonged out there. Even when I got older, even when I got physically able to defend myself, even when I got some willingness to be able to do it, I still didn't belong out there. And the evidence was clear at 18 years old, standing on a boulevard with a pocket full of crack and this fantasy that I'm actually like some sort of Scarface or something. You know what I mean? And I'm out there with this pocket full and like and all of a sudden, like I get in this argument with my friend over some money because like some people that I trusted and loved had robbed me when I put the stash down. They saw where I went and took it. And because like I was a decent person at heart, like I lacked the ability to do anything about it. Because the reality is, like after going through some step work, I need to tell you, like I'm soft. You know what I mean? I'm like toilet paper. You know what I mean? I ain't got it in me. But I didn't know that until like later on in the process. Like I don't have the ability to hurt somebody that I care about, no matter what they do to me, to my knowledge, not understanding that the decisions and I was doing everything that I was doing in life was already hurting the people that I cared about. But I'm talking about that physical hurt, that physical pain. But yet, like the inadequacy that I felt, like because like me and you can be brothers, man, and we can be growing up and I can love you with all my heart. But if you say something verbally to check me, I'm going to drop these gloves. You know what I mean? And I lived like that, like all my life. Until I came to Narcotics Anonymous. And I need to tell you, like I said, man, like I didn't know none of this. I knew none of that. And all I know is in that moment, at 18 years old, standing on a boulevard in Baltimore with a pocket full of crack, like the disease told me what it had always told me, and it said, run. You know how you do. You know how you do. You know you're not going to stand up like a man. You're going to run. Because like what I understand now is like, just because I would drop the gloves at a drop of a hat, I never was a tough guy. Just because I could fight, I never was a tough guy. I've always been a punk. Because when life showed up, when the people that loved me needed me, when it was time to go to school, when it was time to do the right thing, I always ran. I always quit. I've always been a tucker and runner. And at 18 years old, that's what I did. I tucked and ran. I left the west side of Baltimore and I hailed a cab, headed to the Greyhound bus station, and ended up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Now, being a person from Baltimore, had I have known what I was getting myself into, I would have chosen a different city. Because sometimes on Sundays, part of me dies. Because y'all are assholes on my Facebook page. And some of these spiritual principles that my man was talking about in the beginning go out the window in the third quarter when the quarterback throws another interception. And I see ding. But what I'm talking about, man, what I'm talking about is the inadequacy that I felt. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I did some work, and when I did some work, like, I felt, I started to realize, man, like for me, and then when I heard people after staying here a little while and getting some relations, you know what I mean? Some relations, like hearing people share, like, and I started to understand, man, like, this is the disease of feelings for me. This was never about the dope. This was never about the coke. This was never about the alcohol. Thank God, like I read in the first step, how I talked about, like it's not about the symptom. You know what I mean? Like we suffer from a disease concept because like that rang loud and clear to me. You know what I mean? Because like, you know, I related to that when they said like 90% of my problem was me, 10% was the drugs. Like when I read that in the literature, like it stood out loud and clear to me. You know what I mean? And so, like I need to tell you, like, with 18 months clean, man, like, and I came here, like I said, like, I came here because 1 month before I got clean, like, I knew that I was heading off to jail again, and I can remember because I caught these charges, and I can remember holding on to my then 10-year-old little boy, holding on to him for dear life, man, because like I didn't want to let go, and like for some reason, like this time, like my decision-making processes had hurt me, and I knew that I could look at the pain on this little boy's eyes and the pain that I felt, the spiritual depth that I felt inside me, like I just wanted to die. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do. And I remember like his mom telling me, like, Will, you gotta let go of him, man. This is too much for him. And the reason I share that, man, is because like I ended up going to a rehab, man, and thank God for H&I because I'm still involved with H&I to this day. When I leave here, man, I got an H&I commitment that I got to go to that I've been taking in every Saturday because I ain't got no panel leaders. But this is the thing that Narcotics Anonymous taught me because, like I said, when I came here, I didn't come here to get clean. I came here to change who I was. And I can remember with 3 days clean in that same facility, a member had brought a member in from Narcotics Anonymous to share to us, and he started, and all he said was Baltimore, and my ears perked up. And then I told you I had a facade that I was a drug dealer, even though that I was a dope fiend. And he said he made 6 figures a year clean. I said 6 figures a year clean? Through NA? I ain't never even got close to 6 figures a year clean in NA. I never got close to 6 figures a year. But what it did, man, was it told me like maybe I should give Narcotics Anonymous a try. And thank God I came to NA, and thank God I heard that message, and thank God like it instilled something in me. And I can remember because I had some time in the Liquid Fellowship, and I can remember like feeling inadequate there too, feeling like I didn't belong there too. And I'm not knocking it, I'm just telling my story. I believe I needed to change that too, or I would have died. I see it all the time. Dope fiends lost, dying. Because they can't relate. Thank God for Jimmy K. I'm telling you. Like when I listen to this, man, when I listen to this topic, man, and I think about, I think about the change that occurred in my life, man. And I talk about this all the time. Like I knew that if I didn't change my life, I was going to die. I knew it. I could tell by the pain. I could tell by at that time in my life looking for a place to hang myself, but I was too much of a coward to do it. And I didn't know that I suffered from the disease of addiction. All I know is I seemed to make some decisions that fucked my life up. And I was tired of feeling the pain because I didn't know that I was the culprit. You know what I mean? I thought you was the culprit. Because if you didn't say that to me, or if you wouldn't have kicked me out, or if you would have just let me do this and let me be because it's my life, I thought y'all was the culprit. Y'all was the answer. And I came to Narcotics Anonymous, man, like that I stayed there. After that, man, 3 days clean, and he had me crying. He had me sitting there crying because, like, for the first time in my life, like, maybe if this thing could change this man's life, because that's what I heard. I didn't hear that he put the drugs down. I heard that he put the drugs down, but his life had changed. And when I heard that, like, I thought that maybe if I gave this a try, because nothing else had ever worked, just maybe, that my life could change. You know what I mean? And I gave it a try. And I can remember thinking, like, because I did this, and listen, I heard all the statistics in there. And when they told me you can't do this for your kids, like, that's not going to work. Like, I need to tell you, if you're out there struggling with that, I did this for my kids. You know what I mean? I ain't listened to that when they told me that. I'm not here for my kids no longer. But when I got here, that's what it was for. I wanted to be a good dad. I was tired of being a piece of shit. You know what I mean? I wanted to be something that when my son told everybody, like, that's my dad. You know what I mean? I never had a father. He spent 37 years in the Maryland State Penal System. My mom did the best she could. God bless her. You know what I mean? 2 parents, dope fiends. People talk about the epidemic in Western Pennsylvania. What are you talking about? It's been like that my whole life. This ain't the last 15 years for me. Dope. Baltimore is the heroin capital of the United States. I've been living with this epidemic since the day I was born. Shit, I was still in active addiction when it hit. I was like, yes, it came to me. I'm telling you, man. Like, for me, this ride was all about change. With 18 months clean, I remember sharing out to somebody like, man, I still ain't got my kids, man. I still ain't seen my kids. I still ain't seen my kids. You know what I mean? And somebody said, be patient. And you know us. I said, because 18 months is forever. I said, I'm 18 months clean. How patient you want me to be? They said, as long as it takes. You know? And I remember praying to this thing, because the change process for me also starts with the God of my understanding. Because when I got here, I was a 6-year-old molested boy on the west side of Baltimore, like where there ain't no white people, and you know what I mean? And like every bit of racism that we talk about in the country is shit that I experienced growing up. So when we talk about racism being a one race situation, trust me, it ain't. And I'm not talking about our situation in life. I'm just telling you about my story. You know, and the pain growing up, man, like, I didn't believe in the God of my understanding, because there's no way he could let a little boy live like that if that was the case. I didn't know any better. You know what I mean? They waving flags at me and shit, telling me to surrender. But, you know, I need to tell you, man, I came here, like, I did get my kids back. I got a 5-year-old little boy, too, in this process, who knows nothing about Daddy clean. I got a 14-year-old daughter right now who don't remember nothing about Daddy being on drugs, and an 18-year-old son who grew up very beautifully. Like, you know what I mean? And I knew that there's no way that I would have ever been there for them. I know that there's no way that I don't get up today and not sell drugs when life shows up, because that's all I ever knew. I know today that I would put something in me had I not had the spiritual principles and the tools that Narcotics Anonymous showed me. I know today that you guys told me that any addict can stop using, lose the desire to use, and find a new way to live. Thank God y'all told me find a new way to live, not just put the drug down, or I don't know if I would have stayed. Thanks for allowing me to share.
Thank you.